Before dawn, the harbor is quiet. Not the usual quiet of waiting, but the hollow quiet of absence. No engines warming, no nets being folded, no voices calling across the water. In the fishing towns of Galicia and northern Portugal, silence has replaced the heartbeat of the sea. The sardines, once so abundant they turned the ocean silver, are gone. For generations, these fish were life itself. A single good night could feed a town, pay for school, mend roofs, settle debts, fill storerooms for winter. Sardines were more than an industry. They were a rhythm, a certainty, a promise from the sea that tomorrow would come. But nature never signs permanent contracts. And now the ocean has gone quiet. Marine scientists began sounding the alarm years ago. Surveys showed sardine biomass in the Bay of Biscay collapsing to the lowest levels in over 20 years. On paper, the explanation looked simple: rising water temperatures, fewer plankton blooms, and decades of pressure from industrial trawlers. But paper can't capture grief. Paper can't describe what it means when an entire town loses the thing that defines it.
The data confirms the acceleration of coastal erosion.
Fishing authorities proposed temporary bans just a season, they said, to allow the schools to recover. But on the docks, the reaction was visceral. A season? One captain grimaced. A season is food. A season is debt. A season is whether my family stays or leaves. When the government speaks in statistics, fishermen hear only hunger. Out at sea, the change is visible. The water is warmer, not by much, just 1 or 2 degrees, but for a creature that lives by instinct and migration routes older than civilization, that is enough to shift everything. Sardines no longer gather where they once did. Their silver shoals fractured, scattered, unpredictable. You can search for days and return with an empty hold. The world does not see the absence. In markets across Europe, imported sardines fill the gap. Frozen, farmed, or shipped from oceans thousands of miles away. The shelves look full. The restaurants stay busy. The price tags don't tell the story. To the outside world, nothing has changed. But here, where the tide marks the hours, everything is different. On the pier in Vigo, a boat returns empty again. The crew unloads nothing. They do not speak. They do not need to. Their faces are etched with something between exhaustion and disbelief. How many days can you chase ghosts before you start to wonder whether the ocean you knew is gone forever? Old fishermen remember when sardines darkened the water so thick they seemed endless, when seagulls screamed overhead and dolphins sliced through shimmering clouds of fish, and the surface churned like boiling silver. The sea was alive, one says softly. Now it feels tired. Biologists track the currents and plankton cycles. Climate models show the Iberian coast warming faster than expected. Every degree pushes sardines north toward cooler waters off Brittany, Ireland, even southern Norway. Fish do not know borders, but economies do. And so a new tension forms. When a resource moves, who does it belong to now? In Lisbon, officials argue for restraint. We cannot fish what is not there, they say. In the villages, the response is sharper. You protect fish. Who protects us? Conservation and survival have collided, and no one knows how to separate them. A marine ecologist explains it plainly. Sardines are the base of the coastal food web. When they decline, everything feels it: seabirds, whales, tuna, and humans. This isn't just a fish. This is the foundation. And when foundations crack, collapse is not loud, it is quiet, like a harbor at dawn with no boats leaving. Some fishermen sell their boats reluctantly, painfully. Others shift to new species: mackerel, anchovy, squid. But the ocean is not a supermarket. You cannot simply change aisles. Every species brings new gear, new licenses, new risks, and no guarantees. Meanwhile, foreign fleets larger, richer, backed by distant companies, continue to drag fine mesh nets across the offshore banks. For them, sardines are numbers. For Galicia, they are identity. And identities do not survive long when measured only in profit margins. Then comes the hardest night, the night the fleet does not launch. No one calls it a strike. No one calls it surrender. The boats simply remain tied to the dock, rocking gently in the waves, as if waiting for someone to tell them what comes next. In a small seaside chapel, candles flicker beside the statue of the Virgin of the Sea. Fishermen's wives leave offerings not for good catches, but for the strength to endure. Faith remains where certainty fails. The sea has taken before. The sea may give again, but not today. And so, the story of the sardine collapse is not a story of disaster, but of a question that will echo across the world. What happens when climate, economy, and tradition collide? Will we adapt? Will we fight? Will we let go? Because the ocean is changing not in storms and tsunamis, but in silence, in absence, in harbors where engines no longer start. And for those who have lived their whole lives by the tide, silence is the loudest sound of all. Along the coast, canneries that once steamed with brine and metal now run half shifts or stand silent. Workers wait for fish that may not come. A factory without sardines is not paused. It is suspended between memory and disappearance. To fill orders, exporters now buy frozen sardines from Morocco and Senegal. The labels say Atlantic, but not Galicia. The world receives the product, but not the place that once gave it meaning. Preservation, smoking, salting, tinning traditions passed through generations now risk fading. When the raw fish disappears, the craft disappears with it. If the sardines return, who will still be here to catch them? Boats can be rebuilt, but once a generation leaves the sea, it rarely comes back. The greatest loss is not the fish, it is the hands that knew them. Yet some still keep watch. A few boats remain ready. Harbor lights stay on at night. Hope is a kind of labor, too. Silence is not final. It is a question, a held breath, a shoreline waiting. Now discover the day the harbor went silent. A story of loss, resilience, and the quiet warning beneath the waves. And as one coastline falls quiet, another battles a very different kind of silence. Not emptiness, but invasion. Beneath the muddy rivers of southern Mexico, fishermen haul their nets and curse under their breath as armored catfish thrash inside, their spined fins slicing through mesh and skin like blades. They call it pez diablo, the devilfish, a creature that should have stayed small, but instead took the rivers for itself. Once a harmless aquarium pet from the Amazon, admired for cleaning algae from glass walls, it has now become a plague that devours riverbeds, multiplies without restraint, and suffocates every species around it. Beneath the surface, the water no longer breathes. For years, fishermen threw them back, disgusted and defeated. No one bought them. No one cooked them. But now, in Tabasco, nearly 70% of every catch is devilfish, and the rivers that once fed families have turned against them. How did a creature meant to clean tanks become the destroyer of livelihoods? How did convenience turn into catastrophe? This is Fishing Documentary, and by subscribing to Now Discover, you join us in uncovering the consequences of our own hands. In the Amazon, balance once kept this species in check. Predators learned its armor, seasons slowed its growth, and its presence fit into an ancient rhythm. But once removed from that rhythm, it found a world with no limits. In aquariums, it was the quiet janitor, scraping algae from glass walls, seen as harmless and helpful. It grew bigger, thicker, stronger, until one day it no longer fit the tank meant to contain it. People released them into rivers, canals, drainage ditches, believing nature would simply absorb their mistake. But nature does not erase carelessness. It amplifies it. One careless act became many, spreading silently. With its sucker mouth, the devilfish digs into the riverbed, stirring storms of mud that choke oxygen out of the water, leaving native fish to suffocate unseen. Its armor turns away predators. Its eggs hatch year-round in endless heat. From just a few abandoned pets, it spread across Mexico like a slow-moving tsunami. Fishermen first reported them in 2007. By 2024, they were not an anomaly. They were the majority. Each female guards thousands of eggs hidden in burrows carved beneath logs and banks, protected by armor and darkness. With no winter, no cold season, no pause, their numbers climb endlessly. Across Texas, Florida, and Louisiana, similar invasions unfold. In protected waters built for manatees, the devils cling to the gentle giants, scraping algae and leaving raw white scars across their backs. A fish meant to be decoration has become a continental disaster. Ecologists warn that this invasion cannot be undone. What was once a household pet has become a symbol of ecological arrogance. At dawn, fisherman Juan Carlos drags his nets through Laguna Santa Anita, the ropes trembling under the weight of armored bodies. He no longer hopes for tilapia. Hope is expensive. Expectation is pain. They cut our hands. They tear our nets. They take everything, he says, holding shredded nylon worth days of wages. 30 years ago, this river fed him. Now it bleeds him dry. He once brought home 6 tons of tilapia a week. Now 2 tons is a miracle, and most of that miracle is devils. The rest of the fishermen watch the river die by inches. Around him, docks rot. Ice houses stand silent. Fish markets echo with absence. A river once full of life has become a battlefield where only the invader thrives.
That's a big one.
The devilfish does not simply compete, it replaces, it rewrites, it erases everything that stood before. The fishermen are not only losing fish, they are losing identity. Across the United States, the same quiet erasure unfolds. Canal by canal, bayou by bayou, wildlife sanctuaries drown under armored shadows. They were supposed to help, a biologist says, but they learned to thrive instead. The cost is not counted in dollars. It is counted in the silence that follows, when tradition breaks, when a river supports only itself, when those who depended on it must walk away. Yet where nature collapses, adaptation stirs. In California, entrepreneur Mike Mitchell sees opportunity in ruin. He buys devilfish by the ton, turning invasion into supply chain. Before dawn in Tabasco, workers scrape armor plates, fillet flesh, and dry strips under roaring heat. The fish travels north to San Francisco, where it becomes pet treats. Dogs devour it with joy, never knowing they are eating a ghost of a broken river. We own this fish from water to bowl, Mike says. Some call him visionary. Others call him opportunist. Innovation and avoidance look eerily similar when profit is involved. Meanwhile, Chef Lupita Vidal transforms devilfish into tacos and stews, feeding communities with what once symbolized ruin. It tastes like survival, she says. But survival is not victory. It is holding your ground while the water rises. As the sun sets over Tabasco, nets return heavy with devils in silence. The river appears calm, but beneath it, armored bodies continue multiplying. The devilfish did not choose to invade. Humans delivered it, nurtured it, abandoned it. Now it thrives in our shadows. So the question remains, who is the real invader, the fish or us?